Hello everyone, welcome to the CTV News on Calabash TV and on the Wave Radio 94.5. I am Lisa Joseph. The Parliament of St. Lucia has been prorogued to pave the way for a new session of Parliament. The new session opened on Tuesday, the 28th of April. Her Excellency Dame Paulette Louise, Governor General of St. Lucia, will deliver the traditional throne speech at 10 a.m. Following the throne speech, the Standing Finance Committee of the House of Assembly will meet on the same day at 3 p.m. to review the estimate of expenditure for submission to the House for debate. The debate on the estimates of revenue and expenditure will take place on Wednesday, April 29 and Thursday, April 30. On conclusion of the debate on the estimates of revenue and expenditure, the House of Assembly will reconvene on Tuesday, May 12, for the presentation of the budget addressed by Prime Minister Dr. Kenny Anthony. And the budget debate will be held on Thursday, May 14 and Friday, May 15. Meantime, the leader of the United Workers' Party has already reduced the pending budget to nothing. Alan Chastney says the local economy is in bad shape and the Labour Party is clueless about how to fix it.
1 out of every 2 young people in this country are unemployed, and worse yet, have no hope of seeing a job in the near future. So we have to do things to stimulate foreign investment, and unfortunately, the government of the day has spent all the fiscal capital the country has. So we left $200 million in the bank account savings. The government has spent it all. Okay, our interest payments have skyrocketed. In 2005, the interest payments in St. Lucia was $37 million. Last year was $137 million. Very soon, we'll be spending more money on interest than we do on healthcare or education. How can you survive?
But then the government would say that the spending most of the spending that it's doing it really towards debt repayment.
They may want to say that, but the facts speak very differently. In fact, when we go through the budget process, we will be making a presentation as the opposition, which actually will clarify all of that. Because when you look at historically when the Labour Party has been in government and what they've achieved, they're the ones who've caused the chaos in this country. So when, for instance, when Sir John left in 1996 and Kenny took over in 97, the debt to GDP was 37%. And that's coming from 81 all the way to 96, which was one of the hardest periods in the world. You know, we had inflation, we had high gas prices, they had high unemployment all around the world, and he was able to get growth. From 1997 until 2006, the debt to GDP doubled. And we only averaged a 1.5% growth rate at a period when the entire world was booming. It was the greatest growth period. And even now, when you look at it, in the last 3 years, the government has borrowed almost as much money in 3 years that we borrowed in the 5 years that we were in. And that was with Thomas and with the recession.
Mr. Chastney has challenged the Prime Minister to admit that a serious error was made in the manner in which the value-added tax VAT was introduced. The government's tax policies, he says, is having a debilitating effect on the economy.
Corporate tax revenue has gone from a high of $115 million a year to $55 million last year, and I believe it's going to drop even further this year. So what does that tell you? That the government is extracting too much tax from the economy, and the small businesses cannot survive. They're dying. And as a result of it, the people who used to hire 1 person or 2 people, all those businesses are going. So you go into the different places that people are renting offices. Okay? People are finding it easier to go home because you're paying VAT on the rent. So,
but we've heard the Prime Minister say that this is not an accurate picture because small businesses are not necessarily required to pay the VAT because you must meet the threshold of $180,000, I believe, or $118,000 annually in order to qualify.
This is where the Prime Minister is very disingenuous, and this is where, you know, I think a lot of people get very upset with him, is when he makes such irresponsible statements. Because a small business is buying goods that have VAT on them. The only difference is I don't get back my VAT, but my cost goes up. So small businesses go to buy stuff at a grocery store, or they go to buy stuff in a department store. It has VAT on it. The only difference is they don't get back the VAT, but they pay the VAT. Everybody's paying the VAT. right? So that's wrong. And maybe it's that kind of thinking, if he truly believes that, is causing the problem that we have. So even when we were fighting for the gas prices, how could you not understand that if you take the money away from the businesses and you take the money away from the people, okay, they're not going to be able to spend. If they can't spend, then the shops are not going to do well. If the shops are not doing well, they can't employ people. If they close down, there's no electricity purchases, there's no water purchases. Bus drivers now start feeling it because there's less people coming into town or moving around because there's no need to do it. And people now are going back to just surviving at their home and putting a garden in the back of the house.